I, 28 female, work at a hair salon, and have a client, 29 female. She first started coming here in November, and has been my new regular. The first time she came in, she said it was funny that me and her daughter have the exact same name, especially since it's an older, uncommon name. I thought it was nice. She told me she had a husband, 29 male, which I didn't really care about, to be honest. A few months later, she made an appointment, and she told me a bit about her husband. She told me that her husband's name was John, fake name, and that they met about 6 years ago at work and ended up getting married 3.5 years ago. We ended up talking some more, and she revealed that he went to XY University, which was the same university that I went to before I dropped out. As she kept on talking, I realized that John was insanely similar to my ex-boyfriend. However, I thought it was just a coincidence since I still live in the area that I went to university. John is a common name, and people can have similar interests. Fast forward to last week, she made another appointment, and this time she showed me her vacation photos that had John in it. I instantly recognized him, but didn't say anything, and just did her hair. Honestly, I don't know what to think, but I'm a little weirded out. We ended on extremely bad terms, so it was a little weird to find out his daughter had the same name as me, his ex-girlfriend. While I don't see anything wrong with having my ex's wife as my client, I feel a little odd about the whole situation. I don't want to tell her and act as if I'm the crazy ex-girlfriend and trying to ruin their relationship, but I feel like she should know. If I was in her shoes, I would want to know. I'm not sure what to do. Should I stay quiet and let it be, or tell her? She's a genuinely kind and sweet person, and I don't want her to get hurt over nothing. Would I be the asshole if I tell her? Additional info because people were asking. We were pretty serious, together about 3 years, and planning to get an apartment together. We had a dog that he took. We ended after we got into a fight in his car. He threw me out of his car in the middle of the night, like 5 blocks from where I lived. Not abusive, just an alcoholic. Don't know if he still is. Don't know exactly how they chose their daughter's name. She found me through my Instagram account for work. My other socials are private. If that story left you speechless, you're not ready for what comes next. I, 23 female, went to a Renaissance fair with my boyfriend, 26 male, and my sister. My sister and I go to events like this regularly, but it was my boyfriend's first time. At these events, people dress up, interact with performers, and cheer loudly during shows. I was acting how I normally do, engaging with the environment and cheering during performances. During a joust, I was cheering along with the crowd. Nothing inappropriate, just typical cheering. A man sitting in front of me turned around and said I was scaring his child and asked me to stop. Before I could respond, my boyfriend told me I should quiet down a little. That upset me, especially since the event itself encourages loud crowd participation. Another person nearby even commented that the man was out of line. I felt embarrassed and unsupported, so I got up and walked away to calm down. My sister came with me. We had already planned to split up after the joust, so I didn't think it was a big deal to take some space. A few hours later, my boyfriend found us and was upset, saying I had abandoned him at an unfamiliar event. He also said that if a child is scared, people should adjust their behavior, regardless of the setting. I disagreed and felt like I shouldn't have to change normal behavior in that kind of environment. We ended up arguing, and it escalated more than it should have. Added, before the joust we had a detailed plan of separating for an hour or so after the joust. We each wanted to do different things happening at the same time frame, so we planned to part ways and meet back up at the place I wanted to go, since it was a group activity. My sister and I did separate for a time, and she came back and joined me at the location we talked about. I figured my boyfriend would do the same, which is why I was more okay with walking away from the situation. Also, before the joust even started, the kid was side-eyeing my sister and I, a look we are very familiar with as African Americans when children clearly aren't exposed to other people. After the dad told me to quiet down, other people around pulled me aside and said how he had no right to do so. All I was yelling was, "That's my wife," cheering for the female knight, and the man was there with his husband, so that comment really shouldn't be an issue to him. Am I the asshole for not quieting down and for walking away? That one had me picking sides. But the next story? The whole family is on trial. My stepdaughter Carly is deaf, and weeks before Easter, she said a few things about not liking family gatherings. She told us she hates being around both families because of how many people just leave her out of things. Carly said she only really started to notice when she was older and did less running around with the other kids. We decided that moving forward, for events hosted at our home, we are only going to invite people who have bothered to learn some American Sign Language, or have shown they want to try to find a way to include her. I don't mean fluency. More putting in the effort to at least be able to treat Carly like she's a member of this family. Carly uses American Sign Language, but she also lip reads, so stuff like facing her helps. And there are people who have tried, my sister and niece and nephew, my mom, and others. But there are people who never tried, and there are people on his side of the family too. So we told everyone the new rules far before Easter. We said we are happy to host, but from now on, we want to make sure Carly's home feels like a safe space where she's loved and supported, and where people will include her and make the effort. My sister's family agreed, and my brother-in-law said he never thought of it this way and promised he would do better. My dad was awful about it. So was my brother, Carly's uncles, one of her aunts. It was just a mess. We've gotten criticism from both sides of the family. I will say there is a trend with who made a stink. It's unfortunately most of the men in the family, including her own uncles, which is just sad. Carly's aunt took the uncle's side, though. Carly had a good Easter, and so did everyone who came over. But since we have the bigger home, we typically host. I thought we gave them plenty of time to make alternate plans for Easter dinner. So, in the end, and this is what my brother said, I look forward to the once a year I get to have ham. But because you wanted to make one person's problem everyone's problem, I didn't. Honestly, I wanted to just write back to him and tell him to go to Kroger and get a package of ham and eat a ham sandwich. But then again, I don't know if he could figure out how to use a loaf of sliced bread. Because of how much drama this caused in the family, and how much resentment there is, I wanted to ask if you think we were wrong for making this rule. Sorry if this is really long-winded. Some families need a wake-up call. But the next story? A medical condition turns a dinner into a battlefield. So my boyfriend, 23 male, and I, 20 female, have been dating for 10 months. Recently it has gotten a lot more serious, and we have discussed possible marriage, children, and so on in the future. I really feel like he is the one for me, but I feel like I may have messed things up. My boyfriend's parents live a 3-hour train ride from my city, so I have only met them once before this incident. They were very kind the first time we met, making me and him a bunch of Arab food. It's part of their culture to be very accommodating to guests, especially with food, and I was grateful they were so kind and welcoming. I have celiac disease, which essentially means I cannot eat anything containing gluten. Even things that don't have gluten listed as an ingredient can trigger an immune response due to cross-contamination. My boyfriend told his mom this before I came over for dinner. She assured us that none of the food contained gluten, and she was careful about cross-contamination. The food was delicious, until about 3 hours later, when I developed symptoms of being glutened. These symptoms can persist for weeks or even months, depending on the severity, so I was devastated that it happened. I told my boyfriend on the train ride back. The last time I got glutened, he apologized, saying that his mom tried her best, but nevertheless he was still deeply sorry. This happened 4 months ago. Tonight we took the train up to their city again, with the intention of spending the weekend with them. I told my boyfriend that I brought my own food, just so I could make sure I could eat food safe for me. He seemed a little offended, saying his mom took all the precautions this time, and was really excited for me to eat their food. I told him that after what happened last time, I didn't feel comfortable eating food that she made. When we got there, his mom saw I brought my own food, and looked kind of shocked. She kept insisting the food was safe for me to eat, that she spent all week preparing the ingredients and recipes to make sure it was okay for me, and she would really like me to eat it. I told her that I appreciated the efforts, but I felt safer eating my own food. The rest of the night was really awkward and tense. I could tell his mom was upset and a little angry, and my boyfriend was really angry when we got to our room that night. He said she put so much effort into this, and it was horrible that I refused to eat the food. I know there is probably some cultural barrier here as well, with me being white British and his family being Arab British. I know I could have taken a chance, but the symptoms associated with it were not worth the risk to me. Am I the asshole for refusing to eat her dinner? Your health, your choice. Or is it? The next story takes the betrayal to a whole new level. I 18 female, and my friend, 18 female, have been best friends since primary school. She's more outgoing than me, and has been in multiple relationships that don't really last for long, and is always devastatingly upset when they end. I'm always there to give her a shoulder to cry on, but I've never been in a relationship before, so I can never properly comfort her in the way I believe she needs. I'm her complete opposite. I'm not outgoing, and kind of painfully average in every aspect if I'm being honest. 2 days ago, one of our friends took us both to a bar to have fun, and I ended up meeting this girl. She was really cute and funny, and I think maybe she thought I was cute and funny too. We exchanged numbers at the end of both of our nights after we talked about a bad Netflix show we both disliked. We get home, and I tell my best friend about the interaction, since we weren't really with each other in the bar the entire time. She made a face and suggested that maybe the girl was bored. I was confused because I thought she would be happy for me, but instead, in my opinion, she sounded quite mean. She told me not to take it the wrong way, but it was out of the ordinary, and a bit weird that someone would be surrounded by alcohol and good music and choose to talk to me. While she was speaking, I started tearing up and getting emotional. That led me to yelling at her that with that attitude, I can see why no one wants to stay with you. She went silent and went upstairs, and I haven't seen her since. I feel horrible, especially since that's practically my sister, and I wouldn't do anything to intentionally hurt her. Our other friend said that she deserved it, but I'm not quite sure. I've never had an outburst like that ever, and I'm so upset she was at the receiving end of that. Am I the asshole, and what do I do? Reddit is seriously my last option since no one's giving me good advice. Words can cut deep, but what about when someone physically locks you out of your own space? Hi, first time posting here. I genuinely don't know if I'm overreacting or if this is as messed up as it felt in the moment. I, 25 female, recently started a new job that's been draining me mentally and physically, so I barely have time or energy to go out anymore. So my social life has basically been limited to sending memes in a group chat. But since one of our friends, Kat, 25 female, was visiting the city, me and another friend, Lauren, 24 female, decided to split an Airbnb for the weekend so we could all hang out. I got there late because of work and traffic, about 2 hours, and Lauren had already checked us in. When I arrived, I realized the place required multiple access codes: building, floor, apartment. Lauren never shared any of them with me, which I thought was weird, but I let it go. The same night, we went out to a club that was literally 5 minutes away. There was an event, so we ended up stuck in line for 2 hours. I was exhausted, overwhelmed, and honestly regretting going out in the first place. I only went because I didn't want to feel left out. At some point, I told Lauren I was done and just wanted to go back to the Airbnb and sleep. That's when things got weird. She straight up told me I couldn't because she wasn't going to give me the access codes. She said that if I left, I'd have to sit outside on the street alone until she decided to come back. I thought she was joking at first. She wasn't. I reminded her that I paid for the Airbnb too. I spent almost an hour asking her to just send me the code so I could go rest, and she refused the entire time. So I was basically forced to stay, exhausted and miserable, because otherwise I'd be locked out of a place I paid for. I also feel guilty because it was Kat's first night visiting, and I didn't want to ruin the mood, but at the same time, I don't think I was asking for anything unreasonable. Extra context: I was recently diagnosed with Asperger's, and I've been very open about how I struggle with social situations and how I used to force myself into things just to avoid being excluded. Knowing that, it hurt even more that Lauren basically pressured me into staying by holding something over my head. Now my other friends are saying I'm overreacting and that it wasn't that serious. But to me, it felt like a huge violation of trust and respect. So, am I the asshole for being upset about this? Trust broken by your own friend. The next story: someone's dog exposes the real character of a friend. Confusing title, yeah, I know. But am I the asshole? So basically, I am a male, 19, in college, and my two friends, female, also 19, walk my dog outside my apartment complex almost every other day. They enjoy taking her on walks and playing with her and stuff like that, so it feels like having free babysitters around. Well, a few days ago, one of my friends, we'll call her Sarah, took my dog on a walk. She came back and everything was fine. Well, 2 days later, I get a call from the apartment complex that one of my guests was walking my dog inside and the dog had an accident, and that I am being charged a fee of $105. So I asked both of my friends, and Sarah admits that it was her. When I asked why she didn't pick it up, she said she didn't have anything to clean it up with. Now I am upset because if the roles were reversed, I feel as though I would have come back to the apartment and let her know or found something to pick it up with. I am a very hot-headed person, so I texted her and said, "You better figure out what you're gonna do in regards to the money," to which she replied with just a shrug emoji. I took that as irresponsible and not taking responsibility because she's the one who walked the dog and didn't clean up after. I don't think I should have to pay the $105 because I could have easily walked my dog myself, but because Sarah wanted to, I let her. And because she was irresponsible, I have to face the repercussions for her actions. I've also banned Sarah from my apartment temporarily because I am upset with her lack of respect, empathy, and responsibility. But I don't know. Am I the asshole? Edit. Just to clarify, my dog has bags to clean up with on her leash. Part of the reason we had this conversation was because there were bags on the leash and she said she had nothing to clean it up with, which was not true. So I'm thinking she just didn't want to clean it up, which is fine I guess, because if she told me, I would have gone and done it myself. $105 and zero accountability. The next story takes on a whole family dynamic. My sister, 23 female, has always been the person I'm closest to in my family. She's quiet and tends to avoid conflict, especially with our older brother, 28 male, who has a habit of making jokes that usually cross the line. Last weekend we were all at a family dinner. Things were normal at first. Then my brother started making comments about her job and how she doesn't take life seriously. She tried to laugh it off, but he kept going, bringing up personal stuff she'd trusted us with and turning it into a joke in front of everyone. I could see she was getting uncomfortable, so I told him to chill. He brushed me off and said I was being too sensitive. Then he made another comment, and that's when I stepped in properly and told him to stop disrespecting her, especially in front of the family. He got defensive immediately and said I was embarrassing him and picking sides. The whole table went quiet, and my parents told me to drop it so we don't ruin the evening. I didn't argue further, but I didn't apologize either. After dinner, my brother texted me saying I owe him an apology for calling him out like that. My parents also think I should just say sorry to keep peace, since that's just how he is. My sister later told me she was glad I said something, because she never knows how to respond when he does that. Now I feel stuck, because I don't think I did anything wrong, but everyone expects me to smooth it over. Am I the asshole for refusing to apologize? Standing up for someone you love? Or starting unnecessary drama? The next one is about a project gone wrong. My classmate and I had a project that most of our grades depended on. I did the research, which took a long time, while he had to create the presentation. The presentation relied heavily on colors and their shades, and it had to be very precise, because it was a biology project. I asked him if everything was okay, and he said yes. Today was the deadline, and he sent it to me, but it was terrible. I was furious and asked him why. He told me he was colorblind and had guessed the colors. I asked him how he couldn't know. He could just point the cursor at a color, and it would show the color name. He said he chose the colors right. I felt he was lying, so I yelled at him and told him I didn't care about his disability. If he couldn't do it, why did he take responsibility? We argued, and now he's saying I'm selfish and cruel. Am I the asshole? When a grade is on the line, does disability change the equation? Next up, a passcode, a betrayal, and a friendship on the edge. I have a close friend who comes over to my place a few times a week to hang out. I usually leave my iPad on the coffee table because I use it for drawing and reading. I never had a passcode on it because I live alone and didn't think I needed one. A few nights ago, I went into the kitchen to make us some snacks. When I came back into the living room, I saw my friend quickly swiping out of an app. I didn't say anything at first, but later that night, I checked my recently opened apps. It showed my photo gallery had been open for 10 minutes, specifically scrolled back to photos from 3 years ago. I felt incredibly violated. The next morning, I set a strong passcode and enabled Face ID. When she came over again and tried to pick it up to look up a recipe, she realized she was locked out. She asked for the code, and I told her I wasn't comfortable giving it out anymore after seeing she had been through my photos. She got very offended and accused me of hiding something and treating her like she's untrustworthy. She says friends shouldn't have secrets, and that by locking her out, I'm damaging the foundation of our friendship over a bit of harmless curiosity. Am I the asshole? Your private life is yours. But the final story? It's about mashed potatoes, and somehow it's the most relatable drama of them all. So this is so stupid, but now it's a whole thing. I've been with my boyfriend for like 5 years, and his family does Sunday dinner a lot. I go most of the time, it's whatever. Last weekend we're there, his mom made mashed potatoes. I grab some, normal. I take a bite and immediately I'm like, why are these sweet? Not like a little sweet, like actually sweet. So I just go, wait, are these sweet? Kind of laughing because I thought maybe I was losing it. And she goes, yeah, that's how I make them. And I just said, oh, I've never had sweet mashed potatoes before. Like, not trying to be rude, I was just confused. Like dead quiet. I tried to just eat them anyway, but I genuinely couldn't. It tasted like dessert with gravy, and my brain was not having it. So I just stopped eating them and kept eating the rest. Then she notices and goes, you don't like them? And I said, they're just a bit sweet for me. And then my boyfriend jumps in like, they're not even sweet. Which they literally are. And his mom makes a comment like, some people just aren't used to real cooking, which kind of annoyed me. So I said, I just didn't expect mashed potatoes to taste like cake. And yeah, that did not go over well. Dinner got super awkward. We left, and in the car my boyfriend says I embarrassed him and I should apologize. But like, I wasn't even rude at first. I only said that after she made that comment. Now she's upset and he's acting like I started something. I don't know, this feels so dumb, but am I actually in the wrong? Edit, just answering some questions I've already gotten a couple of times. I'm 23. These were normal russet potatoes that tasted like there was a lot of brown sugar added into them. I have somehow avoided eating these monstrous potatoes for 5 years, because normally we either have roasted potatoes, or we do a potluck style, and my boyfriend's sister-in-law brings the mashed potatoes. I am not from the United States. We are all from Canada, born and raised. If any of these stories made you say no way out loud, you're not alone. Drop a comment with your verdict, hit that like button, and subscribe so you never miss the next round of Reddit chaos. New stories every week, and trust me, they only get wilder.